Whoa, what happened to my music? Dang it. Alright. Oh, I see what happened. It just shut off. Anywho, what's up, everybody? Happy Monday. I just got back from the gym, so if I look like a wreck, I'm sorry, but I wanted to talk about halftime show last night if you want to discuss it. I know I'm in this group chat on Facebook, and I have some people who are discussing it. I've seen some stuff on my timeline that are discussing it. I've got people on a post I made on Facebook discussing it, and I just kind of wanted to see if maybe we can, stay in the spirit of Kendrick Lamar and actually bring some unity amongst the people, because apparently the message and some of the symbolism my man put in his show went over some of the people's heads. So let's talk about it. I wish I had like a I don't know, like a slideshow or presentation to put together for you, but I don't. But we can talk about things from memory, and like I said, if anyone's watching and in the chat wants to throw in some questions or make an observation or something that I don't cover, please feel free to drop it in the chat. I am currently live on both YouTube and Twitch, so wherever you're watching, whatever, let's do this. So let's just start off with, now mind you, I'm doing this from memory. So let's just start off with the breakdown of when he came out, when he was on stage. He's on the car, right? And he's just going through the motions. He's spitting some bars. And then, he uses the line, it's the right time with the wrong guy. Now, mind you, this is all being performed in front of our current commander-in-chief. And, I'm not sure if anyone caught that. I'm sure a lot of people did. I mean, I know there's been a lot of breakdowns on TikTok and stuff this morning. But, that was very, very telling. That to me, it was very telling that what we're about to see is more than their performance, right? Like I've said many, many times in the past, that as we saw with the Drake beef, Kendrick Lamar does and says things with intent. His most recent example was his Grammy-winning sweep that that happened to him, and the outfit that he chose. That was totally a shot at Drake, right? So if you don't know, or if you know, if you don't know, look it up. So let's go back to the performance. So you notice in the beginning, all the people came out of the car, right? They all came from the same car, which, my understanding of that is, we're all Americans here, right? Because if you notice, by the time they all came out and got into formation, they formed the American flag. And then by the time Kendrick starts to come down the stairs, you notice that American flag is now split and divided down the middle. Okay. Now, again, Kendrick Lamar, I feel like, was trying to, signify like we need to unify as a people. We need to come together, because if you notice, now the colors of the flag obviously are red, white, and blue. But, you had the red and blue. Now, he's from the West Coast. Gang activity goes on there. Red and blue don't typically get along. But I thought it was cool that the red and the blue came together to form the American flag. Now, mind you, back to the overarching message of him coming down, the divided flag signifies about America being, split in the middle. And, if we see anything from the last election here, that it's, sorry, I'm getting a phone call. The last election, we were clearly split down the middle, right? Now, I don't care which way you lean politically. I don't care which way you choose to, educate your family or I respect people for people. I don't mind a difference of opinion. It's the hate that I mind. So, just keep that in mind. Like I said, I'll respect you, whichever way you lean politically, I will respect you. But if you start spewing hate or, rhetoric that, goes against what I stand for, people that I love and care about, then we'll have an issue. So keep that in mind. Anyway, back to the show. So another thing I'd like to point out is in that American flag with the people dressed in red, white, and blue, are the fact that if you noticed, everyone there in that flag, they were all black performers or dancers, right? So the thing that the symbolism in that is, America was built on the backs of black people. Now, not to reach too deeply into it, but if you really paid attention to that, you notice that when the flag was divided down the middle, each side had their back facing to one another. Now, I don't know if that means, America is, got their backs turned to one another, not facing one another and discussing things, or if that means that America was built on the back of black people. I took it as both. So, it's art. Art is left to the interpretation of the person who is viewing it, right? So, continuing on. So, some other things that I picked up on are the fact that the if you notice, there was a part in the show where it looked like there was a controller, right? Oh, I didn't even discuss the Uncle Sam part. Okay, so Samuel L. Jackson being dressed as, oh man, I need some chapstick. I'm sorry. I came from the gym. I came straight from the gym. I'm sorry. But Uncle Sam being the, character of, what America likes to represent or be represented by during wartime processes as Uncle Sam, right? I mean, Samuel L. Jackson, Uncle Sam, it was genius, okay? But the thing that I picked up on was Uncle Sam was being like the moderator of the entire, performance, right? And if you notice, it would break away to him. He would give like direction, and one of the things that I picked up on was the fact that he was telling Kendrick Lamar, like, hey, you're being too loud, you're being too reckless, you're being too ghetto, which, are derogatory terms that are used towards people of color, to make us more palatable or make us more, tolerated amongst a specific group, right? So, shut up, Eric. I'm trying to be serious here, damn it. So, and I thought that was an interesting point, like when Samuel L. Jackson would break out and say, hey, you're being too loud, being too ghetto, and then, when he slowed down the set and then had the people singing in a cappella and things like that, it was weird because then he'd come back and say, see, that's what America wants, that's what people want. And it's, and it's kind of indicative of how, black people in America have to pretty much code switch when they get in, positions in certain spaces that we're typically not into, and like with all of this DEI stuff going on and being taken away from corporations or not being mentioned or not being included during the hiring process and whatnot, it's important to hear, and see like, hey, this is what we as people of color have to deal with. And I'm not excluding like shut up and dribble. And I'm not excluding like other, nationalities either, right? Like I don't want to just focus specifically on black people, but let's be honest, like that was presented to us for us, right? But it also applies to other people of, nationalities, Latino, Asian, Pacific Islanders, whatever, and it's one of those things where I didn't pick up on it at first, but after I thought about it, I was like, yeah, I see what he's doing. But now the point I wanted to shift over to was like the video game, like it's America, if you think about it, and I've always said this about America, and I don't want to get like myself in any kind of trouble, but I've always felt like America has always been run like a business, right? Like if you think about it, America has always been run like a business. It's a very capitalistic society. I know there's other societies that also practice capitalism, but America as a whole is very capitalistic, right? And I feel like it's like a game. They if you think about the American dream and what it's supposed to represent, it's really a game, right? Like, you have to do this in order to do this. In order to complete this in life, you have to do this, or you have to do these specific things in this order in order to obtain this one thing. And it's really a game, right? And it's one of those things I felt like Kendrick Lamar was trying to like let people know, like, hey, we are all being played as well, right? Even though, back to the division of the flag and everything, it's like we are all being played. And whether you see it or not is one of those things where that's what makes it even more dangerous, because it's a game that we're involved in that we're not even aware that we're playing. And that's really was eye-opening. And you see the controller, you see the buttons, and if you know, right? Like if you play games, you understand like that's what those were. But one of the things I saw this morning and of course this morning I got up and I'm looking at like breakdowns and blah blah blah. Sony PlayStation, Sony which produces Drake music. Okay, see, that's the thing, right? Like, I mean, there were so many little things that are in there, right? So many little things. Let's see. Kenny says, "We riot. We're animals and criminals and ghetto." January 6th, they are patriotic and fighting for their nation. Yeah, exactly. It's like, what's good for some is not allowable for others. What's the phrase? What's good for the goose isn't always good for the gander. And that's exactly right. Like, and say the situation was reversed, right? Like, say, or not even reversed, just say, like, whenever this previous election that took place and the opposite side politically did the same thing. Would there be so much allowance? Would there be so much grace? Would there be so much understanding and so much, praise and saying, hey, they're just fighting for their country. They're just patriots. I don't think that would be the thing that would be expressed in the media. I think it would be, like you said, Kenny, we'd be looked at as like animals, or we'd be looked at as like, being ghetto or being loud or being problematic, and that's I don't want to pull this card, but it's not fair. My camera's being dumb. Give me a second. I'm so sorry, guys. But I'm going to keep running my mouth. But so back to the performance, right? I just want to also go into the fact that there was a part in the performance where if you paid attention, the entire group of dancers started, they were dancing, and then you got to a point in the song, and then they all like stopped and collapsed and laid down on the ground, right? But if you pay close attention, there's like a circle, and they did it twice, right? They did it twice, but there's a circle in the middle of the screen of just like guys in white outfits, and to me that symbolizes like if you're not in that inner circle or part of that circle, you're not gonna make it, or it's gonna be difficult for you, moving forward. You're gonna be oppressed, you're gonna be pressed down, you're gonna be put down, or or worse. You know what I mean? And I feel like I think it's indicative of how we, live today, right? Like if it's definitely a billionaire's boys club, if you will, a billionaire boys club. I can't say that very well, but it's definitely that. It's like if you're not part of this echelon group, then you're out. And if we're divided amongst ourselves, clearly we have nothing to do but divide and fight instead of actually looking at who's actually doing this to us. The 1%. Exactly. Moving on. So another thing that I saw this morning as part of the breakdown was the fact that Serena Williams was out there sea walking, right? Now, there's a couple of things about that. And this is something I wasn't aware of. I didn't realize that Drake and Serena dated, right? So, and I think this was a gangster move, just being like, another shot at Drake. And it's in the sense of, hey, here's your ex, and instead of her like standing up for me, she's out here dancing with me to get this message across, right? And Serena has also faced like some racial backlash, right? Like, I mean, she's with a white man. She's married to a white man, and there's been some accusations of her lightening her skin and her turning her back on black people as a whole. And I just, I've never really seen that, right? Like I don't really seen that, but I do find it very like, wow, she's out there doing that thing. But also, right? Also, she lost a sibling to gang violence, right? I believe she lost a younger sibling, or maybe, yeah, I think it was a younger sibling to gang violence. And, oh yeah, that was another thing too. You're right, Eric. You're right. She was scolded and chastised for doing that. I think during the U.S. Open, and she got fined too for doing it. So now that she's on like the biggest platform in, I say America, cause, let's not trip. The World Cup is always going to be bigger than the Super Bowl, baby. But she was on a very large platform, right? And she's out there getting to do, the sea walk like she was chastised for in the past. And it's one of those things where it's like you're fighting the power, because to my next point, Kendrick Lamar, from my understanding, was advised to not do Not Like Us for the Super Bowl. Like, and you noticed during the show, like he even teased it a couple of times, right? Like you heard the music come in, and you heard a little bit part of it, and then it turned into dialogue, and then he would go and do another song. But then by the end of it, he did it. And I think that's just a big like message to like, you don't own me, right? Like you're not the puppet master that you think you are. And again, I feel like Kendrick does everything with such intent. And I'm not trying to glaze this man by any means, right? Let's just not get this twisted. I appreciate art for what it is. I'm not an anti Drake fan, I wouldn't say that I was a fan. He's got some bangers. Shout out to Passion Fruit. But I'm just saying, like, Kendrick is an artist through and through, right? And Kendrick has exposed some things about Drake that has made people look at him a lot different. Has he had some bangers in the past? Absolutely. Is he for the culture? Some would say, the reason why he's being picked on is because he's not black enough. I don't think that's the case. He started out as an actor, and I still to this day feel like he's acting like a rapper, even in the show he was in, he was acting like a rapper. So it's, that's the thing. But I don't want to go into that whole thing. That was 2024. We left that in 2024. But the whole point of him performing that song, I feel like, was more than just let me make Drake look bad. It was more of he was told and advised not to do it, and he did it anyway, and he doesn't care what people think, period. Let me catch up on some of these comments, because I didn't realize there were so many. Big diss, yeah, about the Serena thing, absolutely. A heavy diss there, and she wasn't smiling while dancing. Exactly, she was doing it because she was just like, I know what this message is and is what's encapsulating in this message, and I'm going to help present that message. I'm 100% with that. I didn't pick up on the fact that she wasn't smiling, so that's thank you for sharing that with me. What was I gonna say? Back on. Let's see. He said he did that song and held up the Crip C. I didn't really. I need to go back and rewatch that. I don't really care, but I really feel like it was just more of a we need to unify, and we need to also like realize who is doing this to us, not try to understand the why, but the fact that it's happening and we need to do something about it. He said that was because Drake was still threatening to sue Sony as well. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. You're right, Eric, because he is going on a little rampage of suing people because he feels like the song was being promoted just to hurt his career, and I don't think that's the case. I mean, and I'm with you too, because I know, Eric, you and I have talked about it. Like, it got to where I feel like the song was a little bit over sensationalized, and excuse me, and it got worn out. But at the same time, Kendrick's made way better songs, right? Let's just be 100% honest. But the fact is, the song came out during a time at a peak of a beef battle that was going like back and forth like a tennis match, right? Which, I wonder if that's another reason why Serena was there, because that beef did go back and forth like a tennis match. He dropped a song, he dropped a song, he dropped a song, he dropped a song. Yeah, anyway, sorry, I'm thinking out loud. But yeah, man, I didn't realize that too, that it was because he was threatening to sue. Huh. I like them both, but if I had to pick, Kendrick all day. Yeah, I'm with you. And that's the thing, right? Like, I said this on my post that I made on Facebook too. And Chadrick, if you're watching, I still need to respond to your message. I saw that you replied to my message. If you're watching, I doubt you are, but I just wanted to be on record that I'm not ignoring you. But where was I going with that? Yeah, Kendrick. That's my thing too, right? Like, I feel like Kendrick makes music for like the club scene, or for and no disrespect, but for women, right? Like, I feel like he makes music for like women to shake their butt to, or for women to dance to, or just the whole, like I said, the whole club scene. Not to say that his lyrics or his bars aren't legit. He's had some pretty dope songs, but it always comes in the question of like, how valid is it, because he was apparently discovered of having a ghostwriter, and in my opinion, I don't think that's talent, because you can just go up and recite what someone else wrote. Like, that's just not talent. Now, if he comes out, he did write some of those songs, and I'll walk it back. I'm not ashamed to be presented with new information and change my stance on a thing. See, when they formed the American flag, he stood in the middle showing the division. Yeah, I spoke on that earlier. I don't know. I think you came in after that point, but I did talk about that. And like I said, too, another point to that, too, Kenny, and I'll reiterate, is if you noticed, everyone in that flag was primarily comprised of, it was comprised of all black people, which also signifies that this country was built on the backs, which they had facing to one another, on the backs of black people. And, it's just a fact, right? Like, if you don't believe that slavery had any part of building the United States to what it is, even today, right? Even today, I suggest you go and pick up a book. And if you would like, I can give you some suggestions on some books to pick up in a private chat or off stream, just because, I don't want that being on the internet and becoming one of the things that they decide that they want to take out of schools or take out of the public libraries, or, that seems to be, a lot of that seems to be going around. Where's my chat bot not coming up? I just realized the chat isn't coming up. Is my chat coming up on screen? Hang on. Is my chat coming up on screen? Oh yeah, I guess it is. Okay. Yeah, it is. It's right there. It's right there. It just, I guess I have it going away. I guess that's what happens. It disappears. I'm used to it just being static and not. Anyway. What's another thing I picked up on? The game over thing at the end. Yeah, I think that, my interpretation of the game over, I think, is the game over as being like, it's time for us to like come together and end this game that we are inadvertently playing or not knowing, so I just, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, guys? Did you see something different, or did you understand like something different than I did? Because I love to see and hear all the different perspectives, because I know there's a lot more to it too. There's a lot more. Like Kendrick's necklace, I think, was a small A, and I think it was to signify the A minor. But I don't know if that was part of the. I don't know. I'm just guessing at this point. An A minor. Okay, so yeah, all right. So yeah, others saw it too. Cool. Yeah, I don't know, man. I just again, that dude is a true artist. Like, how some people say Lady Gaga's an artist, or some people say that who's the other person who's a performer? Like, I don't know. I can't come up with any examples right now. But as far as like Kendrick Lamar, he's an artist through and through, right? He's I hate to use the word genius so frivolously, because I do think it takes a lot to be a genius. But if you think about all of the things he's done, like even in the songs where he was dissing Drake, right? Like, you had to hear that song like 3 or 4 times, and you still were picking up things that you didn't realize that he was mentioning. And I don't know. I just feel like the performance last night, I still feel like there's a whole lot more within that performance that we just missed. Like, I really want to go back and watch it like 2 or 3 more times just to make sure that there wasn't something else I missed. But I could talk about this like all day long. But I don't know. I just wanted to hop on here, get it off my mind while it was still fresh, see you guys' perspective on it too, and see if you guys maybe picked up something that I may have missed, or or any interesting breakdowns you may have seen or heard. I love it, man. I love all of it, because it was definitely notice you're heard, but never saw Big Frida while Southern U playing. Huh. Can you go into detail about that? There was a symbolism about the X and the controller. Oh. I wonder what that was. Can you go into detail about that too? Like, throw it in the chat, man. I want to hear it. I want to hear all of it. I want to hear all the theories and the story times and all of that. All of it. Sorry, I just got a message from my girlfriend and her dad. Her dad's in the hospital, and she was to give me an update. But anywho, let's see. So Big Frida is very known trans who's highly popular in Louisiana. Okay, so when was Big Frida like? When did you hear Big Frida but didn't see them? Because I wasn't aware of that. Like I'm not real familiar with like Louisiana lore whatsoever, right? Like I know very little about Louisiana other than, there's French speaking parts of Louisiana. The New Orleans Saints is their team, obviously. LSU, Go Tigers. Baton Rouge, the French Quarter, Bourbon Street, things like that. I don't know. Like, there's a famous cemetery down there. I don't know, like, of the local cultural icons or people who were considered known there. So I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to let y'all go in a minute. I didn't realize it was 12. Dang it! I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go have lunch with my lunch date, and I'm gonna get back on. I want to talk about this some more. Can we do that? Are we cool? Because I could talk about this all day. And also, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna figure out a way to get someone to be able to join me virtually on here as well. Because I want to talk about this some more. Right? I really do. I had a friend of mine too. Also, he reached out to me this morning and told me that he's an older guy, right? And he leans politically to the right, okay? But we're friends, we definitely differ in opinion politically, but we respect one another enough to hear each other out and never just, belittle one another or never, talk bad about one another just because of how we identify politically. And, and I think it's very cool. I think that's why our friendship works a lot too, is because, we're both very open-minded. Like, he can present things to me and, if it's something that changes my mind, absolutely. If I still stand firm on my stance on whatever subject we're talking about, I'll let him know, like, I still believe what I believe. And thank you for presenting that information, but I don't feel the same way. And we just move on, right? So he wants me to kind of talk to him about some of the things, because he was one of the guys who, didn't really understand the symbolism within the show, but I want to talk to him about it. So, many believe symbolism game over following Donald Trump's presidential takeover. Others believed it was a wider reference to his public beef with Drake. Interesting. Play a game while talking tonight. I am, Kenny. Actually, I'm going to stream tonight, too. I'm going to get back on the Metro. Since I didn't, I played Friday, had my little meltdown. I think you may have seen the video on TikTok and Instagram, but if not, go give that a like on each platform. Trying to get that algorithm, trying to boost this. I'd love to make this a full-time job. Just saying. Anyway, love you guys. I'll see y'all in a little bit. Appreciate y'all. I'm going to go have some lunch and watch Family Guy, I think, with the other half. All right, y'all take it easy. Peace. Hey, you know what? You're here watching it live. It's still live.